Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Judy Murdoch. She is a coach and owner of Marketing Root Work. She works with creative business owners who want to connect with the people who truly appreciate their creations and services but are turned off by conventional marketing. Welcome to the show, Judy.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about learning from you the secrets of effective, authentic marketing. But before we come to this, let's understand a bit more about your journey, about your background, so that the listeners know more who they are listening to.
Okay. So I have spent my entire career in marketing, and I initially got my start in what most of us think of as consumer product marketing. So all of those brands that you see on television and social media, I worked for companies who were behind those brands. A little bit later, I decided that I wanted to do something where I felt like I was making more of a contribution. And that got me involved in coaching. And when I was thinking about who did I want to help as a coach, the natural place to go was with marketing. But I really wanted to work this time with small business owners. I think I find them more interesting to work with because small business owners in many cases are their brand. You are the brand. So at this point now, as you shared, I work with small business owners. They are often creative, they're often heart-centered, they are often mission-focused. So these are people who tend to be more motivated by trying to make a positive difference in the world than the money. The money is sort of like, yes, we need it, but I am doing this specifically because I want to make the world a better place. So those are the people I work with. And just for folks who might wonder where I'm at, I am in Denver, Colorado right now, and it is 10:30 in the morning, and we're so far beautiful sunny day.
Beautiful sunny day. And here also it's a very bright evening in the sense that lots of fireworks in the New Delhi sky because of Diwali festival, lot of firecrackers up here. That is what I told you before the show, so that you know that it's nothing else but just your firecrackers and a lot of joy, a lot of sweets that is being distributed today. So that is a good day, very auspicious day, very special day, where we also make sure that the goddess of wealth, goddess Lakshmi, goddess health, wealth and health and everything, she gets a good invite for us, and that is where we keep our houses very neat and clean. And talking about marketing also, that also invites a lot of wealth because it brings in a lot of customers for business owners. But you see, you talk about creativity and all. Earlier they used to see say like advertising should be such that it sells, it helps you sell. Marketing should also be such that it should help you sell. Then where does this creativity part fit in all this, Judy? Help us understand, so that we can understand this better.
Okay, so let's talk about the creative aspect of marketing. My very first job when I got out of college was working for a very large advertising agency in Chicago. People would recognize many of the brands that we managed. And what was really interesting for me was I did not work, I was not an account executive. I was not actually a person who wrote copy. I didn't, create images. What I did do was I worked in what we call the client research department. And very specifically, what we did was we did a ton of interviewing consumers. So when you hear about focus groups, one-on-one interviews, we did a lot of those. The other thing that we did was we did lots of what you would think of as quantitative surveys. So When people call you and say, do you have a few minutes to answer some questions about a product? Those were the types of things that we were behind. Now, what's interesting is the reason we did all of this research was around the creative process. So the whole focus, which I thought was very smart, and I continue to feel strongly it should be the focus, is the creative elements are the things that deeply and viscerally connect with the people who are viewing it or listening or however they're experiencing it. And so it's really, really important. The research was always about, we would be testing different versions of an ad, we would be testing different copy that might show up in print. But the idea was always, like what creative is connecting best with the consumer, meaning they were having a positive reaction, positive feelings about the brand, and they were also the creative was doing a good job of clearly telling the consumer, why do you want to buy this? And what was really interesting, these were the things that we learned, was we really listened to consumers, and we wanted to learn not just. I'll give the example of cat litter because I think this is was such an interesting one. You think, cat litter is a very sort of utilitarian, performative product, right? We use it specifically for our cats, right? For their waste. But what we also learned, which was really interesting, is that people who are cat owners, they're very attached to their cats in emotional ways, and it was really important to the owners. So not only did they want to avoid smell and mess, but they also really wanted their cats to feel loved and cared for. So these are the types of things that go into the creative aspects of marketing. And the last thing I want to say about creative elements in general is I think a lot of us tend to think marketing is sort of an intellectual exercise, if you will. And we tend to, as business owners, think that people the consumers are sort of carefully thinking through what their choices are. But I honestly, all the studies that I've seen show that consumer decision making is extremely emotional and very visceral. And for that reason, that's why creative is so incredibly important, is you want to connect very quickly with your consumers in a positive way.
Right, right. And talking of cats, I can see you have got two extremely spoiled cats,
I
if I
do, yes.
understand. And but you see, you buy for your cats. A lot of people buy for themselves. So,
True.
should this sort of a marketing about is okay only with creative business owners because they have got creative
Uh,
products? What about a general business owner who have got something else to sell? How does he force creativity into it at that point in time? Because people want to know what this is, how it is solving the problem. This is what people talk about. Come to the point, tell what pain point it is taking care of, and then just make your pitch and move on. That is where what. So where help us understand then how does it work?
okay, so one of the things I want to clarify is that although I work with people who are creative business owners, so they think of themselves as being creative, they may or they may not be artists. They may be coaches, they may be healers, they may be realtors, so these are people who, yes, they need concrete results. So I'm gonna like maybe like put this on just a little bit of a different slant. And what I will say is um, what I focus on in my business is I focus on word of mouth marketing. And the reason I do that is, you're one of the things in your show title was, like, why does conventional marketing, why does that not work? So conventional marketing, we all think of as being what we see on TV, what we hear on the radio, what we see on social media and the web. Okay, so this is all video, it's verbal, it's text, right? It's their words. And it's not that they're not effective, they are. However, human beings have not really changed a whole lot over thousands of years. We are still we are creatures who really like being in person, just like you and I can see each other right now, even though we're in different countries, which is so
Right.
cool. And we like that. Human beings like to see who they're talking to. So I made a decision when I started the business, rather than helping clients develop what I'll call like a video that would show up on social media, I decided I wanted to focus specifically on word of mouth marketing, referral marketing. Because if you ask just about any small business owner, perhaps even you, most people tell me, it's always so funny. They say, most of my business came from word of mouth. It just cracks me up. And they always look surprised, like, but I do all this other stuff. But most of my clients came from, they were referrals from people who knew me. So that is really my focus. And I find, so here's the way I will talk about word of mouth. Word of mouth is not very sexy. It's not, like as we were talking about the creative, the images, all that kind of thing. So we always think about ad agencies and Mad Men and, all this like kind of cool stuff going on. And word of mouth is really, really simple. Word of mouth really does come down very much, in my experience, to just taking care of the people who know and think highly of your business. Really. That's what it comes down to. Now, there are some things in word of mouth. In fact, one of the things I want to share quickly about word of mouth is
Yes,
because
please.
it's such a natural thing people do. Everybody thinks if I do a really great job and people really love my work, well, of course, they'll tell everybody about me. Of course they will. And some people will. Some people have a natural inclination to give referrals. I mean, I tend to be one of those persons. Most people don't, which means that we actually need to put systems in place in our business so that we are inviting people to give us referrals. So that's a really important thing to remember. We really do have to make an effort to tell people, yes, please send people to me. Please, if you know somebody who has the same problem that you and I have been working on, I have some openings. So please, I would love for you to send me people. It's really interesting, but that's a really important point to make word of mouth work. The other thing about word of mouth I want to share, and this is kind of a little bit more to the creative aspect of word of mouth, is it's really important to remember that when you invite a person to send you referrals, it's important for you to help that person know how to talk about you. Again, we think as human beings, well, of course, they'll know what to say because they were a client. They'll just talk about what great results we got. And sometimes that's true. But quite often, again, when we want somebody to speak on our behalf, we need to be really, really careful to make sure that we are giving them a very memorable, very simple, very clear. This is what you said before, to the point, right? In a conversation. So quite often people are having coffee, they're on the phone, however they're talking to each other. It needs to be very natural and conversational because, and this is the last point I will make about word of mouth, people love to give referrals. They do. It feels good. Like if you think about when you've given referrals or you've made a recommendation and the person you made the referral to had a good experience, you feel good. You're like, yeah, I'm a little bit of a hero. This feels really good. Um, and we always want to make sure that we make, like when we ask a person to make a recommendation on our behalf, we always want to make sure that that person feels like they're going to look good, they're going to sound good, they know exactly what to say, and that they feel very confident that when they send a person to us, that person is going to have a really good experience. So there are a lot of little nuances in word of mouth that, although people think, we all think we know how to do it, I find there are a lot of little nuances, and that's largely how I help my clients, is helping them with all these little nuances so that they have effective word of mouth marketing.
Right, right. Word of mouth marketing. Now, Judy, I want to understand for those people who would say, Judy, this idea is great. We are also looking for people who can refer us. That is very good when we want to do that. But doesn't it sound more like, a very mom and pop sort of a store? It is much more suitable for those people, not a growing business, because it's almost like
Yeah.
somebody referring some shop around the neighborhood. But what about I am selling online? How does this word of
Ah.
mouth come come into this whole
Oh,
store? Because I'm trying to scale up and I want to
yeah.
be bigger. I want to sell beyond my neighborhood. How does that work?
That is a really, really great question. So, as I said before, like face to face is ideal, right? That's the ideal situation. However, we can also make referrals using email and social media. It is not as effective as when we are in person with somebody else or we're able to see them. But a an endorsement that is sincere, and I'll use the phrase well crafted, can also be very effective. And I will go back again to what I said before, which is if you're asking people to refer, like to your show, for example, the one thing I will just say is, again, it's really important that the message be really clear. It's super actionable. There's a link you just want to make. I mean, in this particular case, when you're not in person, it's even more important to make sure that you have like a really clear call to action and you have a clear sentence or two that talk about like what makes this so great. Why did you love it? Did you learn something new? Did they talk about a provocative topic? Did you walk away with one or two actionable ideas? So like I hear you talk a lot about making things actionable, and absolutely agree. Marketing, in large corporations, to some degree, marketing is also about addressing consumer attitudes. Sometimes we just want people to have a favorable idea of something before we launch it. In small businesses, it's got to be very clear and actionable. I'm a real stickler when it comes to that. People do not want to connect the dots. Most people are just too busy to try to figure things out.
Right, right, Judy. Now, word of mouth is word of mouth. People refer, and that is good. What about the creative part? How do we bring the creative part into? Then it becomes, very made up pony. How do you make then? Is creative part only for the bigger companies who want to, be more creative through their words, and put in
Yeah,
something much more, put in AI and whatnot. But
yeah.
word of mouth is, because it is raw, it is word of mouth, it is the way someone will say in their own ways, because the person are very familiar to them. So they will say, you go to that shop, that will take care of the problem, whatever way they sell it. So how does this creative work
The
come
more
into?
creative piece of it. I always think, no matter what, so one of an element in word of mouth marketing, as you recall, one of the things that we need to do is we need to help people talk about us. And for that reason, there is creativity that goes into how how do we tell people who want to refer us, how do we help them talk about it in a way that is clear and compelling and memorable. So it sounds like it might be easy, and sometimes it is, depends on the person. But there are a couple aspects that go into the way we ask people to talk about us. So there are a couple things that are like kind of obvious, which are who do we help? Who are our ideal clients and customers, right? So that's not like, duh. And another piece is, of course, like what do we help them with? However, and to me, this is kind of the fun creative piece. The other aspect that I think is really important is we want to talk a little bit about what makes us distinctive, because every person, every small business owner, every solopreneur has something special and unique about them. And honestly, that's like one of my favorite parts of the job is actually like perceiving what is it about this person that makes them special and different. And that is very nuanced. It can be feel a bit ephemeral, but it's still really important. So I really look at things like what is their style, what's their philosophy, what kind of person is this? What kind of temperament do they have? And I make an effort to weave that into, kind of what I call it's an ideal referral description. But it's important to get some of those intangibles in there as well. And right, because that ultimately, we can all argue a realtor is a realtor. They all kind of do the same thing. But I know every person you talk to will also say to you, yes, but I would, most people feel like I would rather work with somebody, especially in very personal services, that I feel like I could just have a beer with and hang out with, given a choice. And so that's one of the things that I like to bring out when I work with my own clients. I'm trying to think of, there was something I wanted to say about that, but a lot of people have told me that one of the things that they like about me is I am very calm. I'm a good listener. I think very deeply about things. People don't ever feel like I'm selling to them. And, that might not be for everybody, but for the people who work with me, that's important. So that's an example of where creativity, the role of creativity in word of mouth.
Absolutely, absolutely, Judy. One last question on this uh, word of mouth marketing is that it sounds like, it looks like it's perceived as very spontaneous, unstructured sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Can we make it, a structured sort of a thing without making it look like that? Because can someone go
Right.
speak? It's like, and what's then the difference between affiliate marketing? At least
Ah,
in affiliate, people will go
okay.
share a link and you are good. Why would
Oh,
somebody would
okay.
just go and talk about your product
Okay.
in a structured way, and
Okay.
obviously they cannot, by word of mouth they cannot share any link, that will be out of place. So help us understand then,
No, okay. So
how
let
do
me,
you?
okay. So I'm going to talk
Right.
about that. Those are two really good questions. Okay. Let's first address affiliate links because this is like the most important thing about referral marketing, which I have not yet talked about. We don't pay people to give us referrals now. Okay. Now, having said that, I want to be really careful because with people, it's a gray area. Things with humans are always gray. With an affiliate, I think of an affiliate as being the little bit of compensation we receive when we share an affiliate. I think of it more as a sweetener. It's one of those things where I would have referred the business anyway, the business or service. When I get that little commission from the affiliate, it's kind of like just a nice thing. It's like, oh, you did something nice for us, and here's a little token of appreciation for you. But it's a small amount of money. Where things get mucky is when you are giving people, like a really significant commission. That is where they're no longer really being somebody just like a regular person who's endorsing you. They become a salesperson. So, not saying there's anything wrong with salespeople, but the power of word of mouth is people are doing it to look good, period, end of sentence. I am a big fan of, saying thank you. I give people gifts, like I want to refer people, but you just want to be really, really careful that their main incentive is not money because then they're not like a normal person. Now they've turned into a salesperson. So the referral piece of it loses the power of that. You also asked me a question about like, well, how do we keep it, like it sounds like it's a very spontaneous thing because it's such a human behavior. And one of the things that I do, and I'm actually currently working on a product, is I try to be, I keep a spreadsheet. I'll just put it that way. I keep a spreadsheet. I track people. Anybody that I reach out to that I don't know well. I keep track of them. I keep track of whether we scheduled meetings or not. After we've had a meeting and I have an opportunity to get to know them, I will put in my schedule, like when do I want to get in touch with them again? What might I want to maybe collaborate with them on? So I try to be very intentional. So as I'm speaking, anyone who is familiar with customer relationship management, that many of the principles in customer relationship management can apply directly to how we manage the people we know. And what I tell people is that, again, word of mouth marketing, referral marketing, it is very much about taking care of people. It is very, very much about cultivating relationships. And I am big on reciprocity. So like, I feel very strongly, if somebody has done me a good turn, if I can, I will repay them. I don't do that from a place of like, if I don't repay them, they're going to be mad at me or something. But again, we're talking about human relationships. And I always think of this as we are creating human relationships where there's a lot of mutual benefit when we work together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do get, and word of mouth is very, very human part of us, and I'm
Very.
sure that is where I guess a lot of companies also recognize this, and that is where this whole idea or term about the social commerce comes in, when
Mhm.
people refer each other and they are wanting to get that big breakthrough. Be that as it may, there is so much to learn about these things from you. A lot of companies who would want to get the best in terms of the word of mouth marketing for them, which is a very predominant thing. As I said, it's part of our human behavior, and more people are going towards, being much more human in this whole age of artificial intelligence. A
I
lot
hope
of,
so, yeah.
unnatural creativity, but the real sort of people want that creativity. So a lot of people who want to know more about this, more about you, about your company, marketing route work, what is the best way for them to connect with you, Judy?
The very best way to connect with me currently is through my Substack, and that is just http //substack /Judy Murdoch, one word, JUDYMURDOCH.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.